Wish we could be together in our normal classroom, but we can't. So we're going to keep trying to get to you guys, be able to talk to you each Sunday morning in our Sunday school class in this manner until we're able to get back together again. So the first week we talked about God's got this. Last week we talked about God's got the weird stuff. This week we're going to talk about God's got your attention. And what we're going to find out is God uses some pretty crazy ways sometimes to get our attention. And nothing's more evident of that than what we're going through right now with this coronavirus, where God has really just slowed our lives down in order to get our attention. I truly believe he's getting our attention. And that is, he's getting all the stuff out of there that we didn't need, that was kind of blocking our ability to see what God wanted us to do. And today's story is about a guy named Balaam. And Balaam was not an Israelite, but he was a prophet. And what they knew about Balaam is that he had some pretty special, we'll call them powers. He had the ability to curse people. He had the ability to give people his blessing. But he was really a mouthpiece for what God told him to do. And so at this point in our story, the Israelites had left Egypt. They're wandering around the wilderness for 40 years. Their adventure is about over. Aaron has died. Moses is on his last leg. And they're literally across the river from Jericho in a place called Moab. Well, before they get to Moab, they went through two other kingdoms. And as they went through those kingdoms, not only did they win every battle, but they completely annihilated and destroyed those two nations. Every person was killed, and they took over all the land and occupied it. So by the time they get to Moab, the king there, his name's Balak, and he's terrified because he knows that he can't be these Israelites. There's too many. There's a ton of them. Matter of fact, Balak says they cover the entire earth. And so Balak calls for a guy named Balaam, the hero in our story today. And so he calls for Balaam because he knows that if he can get Balaam on his side, that Balaam can curse the Israelites, and that will slow him down, at least get him out of Moab so his kingdom won't be conquered. So Balak, the king, sends a few of his elders, to talk to Balaam. And he begs him, Balaam, please come and help me out. I need you to curse these Israelite people because they're going to conquer me. So Balaam tells him, here's what we're going to do. I want y'all to spend the night here. It's been a long trip. I'm going to talk to God and see what he wants me to do. And so Balaam has a conversation with God that night, and God tells him, I don't want you to go. Because the Israelites, I blessed them. They're blessed people. I don't want you to go. And so Balaam goes back to the elders and tells them, you go tell the king that I'm not going. God says I'm not to go. So they go back and they tell the king. Well, the king's not satisfied with that answer. So the next time he sends even higher ranking people to see Balaam. And he offers him tons and tons of money and gold. So like the first time, Balaam tells the folks, I want y'all to spend the night here, relax, let me go talk to God and see what he wants me to do. So Balaam goes and has a conversation with God, and God tells him, at first, I don't want you to go, but Balaam kind of begs. And he goes, look, they really want me to go. And so God says, I tell you what, Balaam, if you really want to go, then you go on. You do what you want to do, you go on. But if you go, I want you to say only what I tell you to say. Well, Balaam says, okay, he does that. So he gets up the next morning, and he's on his way to see the king. And as he's traveling on his trusty donkey. Like Shrek had his trusty donkey. And so Balaam had his trusty donkey. He's been on that donkey a million times. Been all over town on that donkey. That donkey's always done exactly what he wanted him to do. And so on this trip, Balaam's on his way. He has some folks with him, along with Balak's folks. And they're walking down a road or a path, and the donkey takes a hard right and goes way out into the field. Well, that makes Balaam angry because it looks like he doesn't know how to control his animal. So Balaam gets mad and he starts to beat the donkey with a stick. But what Balaam doesn't know, and what the donkey does know, is that standing in the middle of that road was an angel, one of God's angels, holding a sword. And so the donkey sees it, makes a hard right, tries to go around it, and goes way out into the field. So he ignores God. So the donkey gets back on the path, starts to walk again. They go a little bit further and they get to an alleyway. And when they get to an alleyway, it's so small that there's barely just enough room for the donkey and Balaam to pass by this angel of the Lord. But it's so tight that when the donkey moves away from the angel of the Lord, he actually ends up crushing Balaam's foot against the wall. So this time Balaam gets really mad. and he starts to whip the donkey. What the donkey knows and what Balaam doesn't is that standing right there in front of him is an angel of God holding a sword. But there was enough room for Balaam and his donkey to ignore him and keep going. So they walk a little bit further and they get to the point in the road where it's so narrow that they can't go either right or left, and they're dead center on this angel. At that point, the donkey does what he knows how to do and just lays down. Well, Balaam really gets angry and starts to really beat the donkey. And when that happens, like our donkey in Shrek, it begins to talk. God gives that donkey a voice. It's a talking donkey. It begins to talk. And he tells Balaam, first thing he says is he says, Balaam, you've been on me so many times. Have I ever done this? Not long do it 3 times. Have I ever done it 1 time? Ever? And Balaam says, no. He says, but you've embarrassed me. And the donkey says, I need you to understand what's going on. This isn't normal. And Balaam is just so caught up in doing what he wants to do and going where he wants to go and doing the things that he wants to do that he has just not seen that God's right in front of him. So God, at that point, opens Balaam's eyes. And he sees what the donkey sees. And that standing right there is an angel. One of God's angels with a sword. And we know one thing about angels is they're pretty intimidating dudes, right? Big, many faces, and here he is holding a sword. And Balaam starts to get scared. But the point of the story is that at that moment, God has Balaam's attention. He used a talking donkey to get Balaam's attention. And what God ends up doing is he tells Balaam that you can go, but I want you to say what I want you to say. Still wasn't real happy about it, but he went. And when Balaam got there, as we know the rest of the story, and this is in Numbers chapters 22 and 23, actually 21, 22, and 23. What we find out is that Balaam actually ends up blessing Israel in front of the king. And the king can't believe what's happening. But that's what happens. So it ends up that God gets Balaam's attention. But he does it in such a weird way, with a talking donkey and an angel in the middle of the road. But see, in our life, we're a lot like that. A lot of us get so focused on other things, I'm as guilty as anybody else. Whether it's sports. Heck, nobody likes cycling football more than me. Love it. And so, but I love sports. I love all sports. I love golf, whatever. I like to go do things. But a lot of times in those, we lose focus on where God is. And I know before this virus hit, I was thinking about everything. About a trip on vacation. I was thinking about going on a golf trip with my friends. I was thinking about work. I was thinking about next year's football season. I was thinking about soccer season for the boys and graduation. Had a million things in my mind. But the one thing that never was on my mind during that time was God. He never was in front of me. He never was focused on me. I was never focused on him is what I should say. He's always focused on me. Like today with this coronavirus, God has our attention. He slowed us down. A lot of the things that we've always thought about, wanted to do. I mean, I know you 8th graders have had a lot of things on your mind. That is prom, your 8th grade graduation. Those things are big deals. Your last day of school at T.A. Duggar as an 8th grader, where you sign your annuals. You know, we also have softball, you 8th grade softball girls, the ones that are running track, kids that are playing golf, the kids that are playing baseball. I mean, all the things that you look forward to doing as an 8th grader, those things may not happen. And it seems like such a negative thing. But here's the thing. God's got our attention. He slowed us down. I know before this happened, there was so many things I was looking forward to. And so many things I was thinking about. I was thinking about Jackson signing at ETSU, what that's going to look like. I was thinking about next year's football season. I was thinking about Jackson's senior year, his graduation, his senior trips, things that he wanted to do. But God had a different plan. And he got our attention with something really weird. This virus is super weird, but it slowed us down. And it's allowed us to do things that we probably would have never done. We've gotten to spend more time with our families than we could ever imagine. We've gotten to do some really cool things. For example, yesterday, Miss Leanne, we taught her how to chip a golf ball. And I can honestly tell you, she hit the neighbor's house once, but we didn't break a window, so that was a good thing. But we've done some really cool stuff. Been hiking. Madison's sort of our /cruise director. We painted Jingo blocks We've done all kinds of crazy stuff. Stuff that we would never slow down to do. And God's got our attention, but here's what I want you to do. Things are going to get back to normal. Life's going to get back to normal. It's going to be as hectic and as fast-paced as it was before. But I want you to remember this moment and take time to spend time with God. Give Him your attention. Because if you don't give Him your attention, He's going to find a way to get it. It could be in the form of a virus, or it could be in the form of a talking donkey. That could be the way God gets your attention. So I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope everybody's staying healthy. Wash your hands. Stay around your families. Don't give your parents a hard time. Keep doing your homeschooling, and things will get better. But I encourage you to understand that give God your attention, because if you don't, God will get your attention. Have a good day. Love you guys.